Hello and welcome to the Rugby Roundup with Big Mike here on June 3rd, 2026. It is I, Big Mike, here at Big Mike Rugby, here to talk about all the beautiful things from our beautiful game. This week's episode is going to be a bit shorter as my entire family has been sick and I've been everybody's nurse, so I'm completely run down as a 10-month-old baby stares at me from his cot. But that doesn't mean we didn't get to watch some beautiful rugby, so apologies about the format shift. It'll be 1 week and 1 week only. Alright, enough of all that. Let's get to our roundup and our preview of this weekend in rugby. Starting with international rugby and nothing to note. So we're going to take it to club rugby and the URC quarterfinals last weekend. And these ones went according to plan. All 4 home teams won, and they won convincingly. Top of the table, Glasgow beat Connacht 33 points to 21. In the semifinals this weekend, they will be taking on the Bulls, who with a 45-14 victory over Munster are looking red hot. In the other semi-final, you have Leinster, who finished second and beat the Lions 59 points to 10, hosting the Stormers, who beat Cardiff 44-21. So this weekend, our semi-finals in the URC, Glasgow versus the Bulls, and Leinster hosting the Stormers. Glasgow are looking great, but the Bulls have a lot of form behind them. Meanwhile, Leinster are still trying to get a little bit of love for themselves after that horrendous Champions Cup final. It was the second to last round of the Premiership in England, and we had Northampton just sneak away with a 36-32 victory over Gloucester with a 79th minute try. Newcastle Falcon, Red Bull Falcon, Newcastle came back from 42-24 down to beat the Saleh Sharks 45-42. Leicester couldn't get the job done against Exeter, rampaging Exeter. In the last 10 minutes, got this one done 35 points to 26. Saracens put Harlequins down 26-12, and Bristol beat Bath 21-19. This was as Bath missed an 82nd minute penalty to take the win. So going into our final round, Northampton secured their spot at the top of the table. Bath sits second on 64 points. They could have secured second place, but they didn't. Behind them are Leicester, another team that did not win last weekend. They are on 62 points. And 2 points behind them is Exeter. Bristol have now been eliminated because of Exeter's win. Saracens sit 3 points behind Exeter on the table. So this weekend, it is Saracens versus Exeter. And unless it is close and Exeter get a couple of bonus points and a loss, whoever wins this will take that final spot. We also have Bath taking on Leicester. The winner of this will finish second, most likely. Northampton will be taking on Harlequins. Our dead rubbers now are Saleh versus Bristol and Gloucester versus Newcastle. Top 14 also had its second to last round. Stade Francais Paris 38-21 over Bayonne. Toulouse, top of the table. They bet Lyon 39-31. La Rochelle, the rampaging La Rochelle, 71-15 over Montauban. Perpignan got a surprising 29-27 win over Castres. Montpellier staying in second spot, 26-18 over Pau. Bordeaux went down in their rebound game after winning the European Champions Cup. They went down 27-22 to Toulon. And in a very important game, Clermont went down to Racing 92, 41-13. So Toulouse at the top of the table, and then we've got Montpellier and Stade Francais Paris, who will be fighting for second place. Behind them is Pau, who are secured in the top 6. Then, thanks to that big win last weekend, Racing 92 are on 70 points. Bordeaux are on 69, La Rochelle are on 68, and Clermont are on 67. Only 2 of these teams will make it through to the finals. La Rochelle will be taking on the 3rd place Stade Francais Paris. A good victory in that one should hopefully secure them a spot in the top 6. Racing 92, who currently sit in 5th, are taking on the top of the table Toulouse. And then, depending on how those ones go, it'll be Bordeaux versus Clermont. And the winner of this, as long as La Rochelle don't get a huge victory, the winner of this will find themselves in that final spot in the top 6. Other games this weekend: Bayonne Perpignan, Castres versus Toulon, Lyon versus Montpellier, and Pau versus Montauban in their final game of the top flight. We had an upset in the French D2 semi-finals as Provence took it to Colomiers 36-28. They'll be away from home in the final this weekend against my beloved Vannes, who won their semi-final against Oyonnax 48-7. To the promotion relegation games in Japan now. After a good start by Shuttles Aichi, they couldn't get the job done against the Dynabors, who came back in the second half. This one finished 52-28, aggregate of 88 points to 42, the Dynabors staying in Japan League 1, Division 1. Also staying up the top are the D-Rocks, who beat the Blue Sharks 57 points to 19, 94-34 was your aggregate score. Our semi-finals took place in Japan League 1, Division 1. Top of the table Kobe Steelers absolutely took it to Tokyo Sun Goliath. This one was 69 points to 23. Kobe Steelers have not won the title since 2019, before it was Japan League 1, back when it was the top league. In the other semi-final, 3rd place has beaten 2nd yet again as the Spears beat the Wild Knights 26 points to 24. Sounds a lot closer than it was. It was 26 points to 12 with just 3 minutes left. Our final. The Spears are taking on the Kobe Steelers. It is our first final in quite a few years that does not feature the Wild Knights or Brave Lupus. Kobe Steelers top of the table, coached by All Blacks coach Dave Rennie. This is Artie Savia's team with Brody Metallic and Anton Leonard-Brown. They're taking on the Kubota Spears, who are coached by Franz Ludeke, who took the Bulls to their championships in Super Rugby. The Spears have players such as Malcolm Marks, Bernard Foley, and few Test All Black Sean Stevenson. Great game, Sunday afternoon, Japan time. We had the final round of Super Rugby Pacific before the finals as well. Crusaders took it to a depleted Hurricanes squad 47-14 to stay unbeaten in their new stadium. The Reds 45-24 over the Drua. The Brumbies went down at home to Moana Pacifica. Absolutely crazy game, this one. It was 21 points to 19. Moana scoring the winning try in their final game with a yellow card. Brumbies, a team that beat 4 out of 5 New Zealand teams this year, but couldn't get the job done against the Drua or Moana Pacifica. Despite starting strong, the Blues couldn't get it done against the Chiefs. This one was crazy, 59-34. And the Force beat the Waratahs 31-25, which meant that the Waratahs were the worst placed team of Australia. So, our games this weekend, it is Hurricanes hosting the Brumbies, Chiefs hosting the Reds, and Crusaders hosting the Blues. Reminder that the highest ranked loser will go through to the semi-finals. It is highly likely that the Hurricanes, Chiefs, and Crusaders get the job done. Crusaders haven't lost in their new stadium. They are 32-0 in games in Christchurch in the finals. No Australian team has won a game in New Zealand in Super Rugby playoffs. Interesting fact, the Brumbies have knocked the Hurricanes out 3 out of the last 4 seasons in this round. However, all of those games were in Canberra. The Reds have that famous victory away from home against the Chiefs. The Chiefs are a team that do really good when you don't expect them to, and do really poorly when you do expect them to do well. And it is a Crusaders team who is hot going against a Blues team who is not. We have one weekend left in Major League Rugby. Chicago Hounds still top of the table, 45 points. They will stay there going into the semi-finals. California Legion and Seattle Seawolves are taking on each other this weekend. Whoever wins that one will host the other team in the semis. And we've got New England Free Jacks and Old Glory DC both on 17 points. Anthem RC on 13. So Old Glory DC, they could do themselves a big favour as they take on Anthem RC. And bonus point win for Anthem RC in that one, plus Chicago Hounds absolutely demolishing New England, could put Anthem RC in your semi-finals. Super Rugby America's results: Penarol beat Yakare 36-22. Tarukas took it to Cobras 61-26. Pampas, close victory over Selknam 30 points to 28. And Dogos 26, Capybaras 25. There's just one more round left before the top four go into the semi-finals. Top four are still your Argentinian teams. In fourth place, you have Tarukas on 39 points, and then you have Selknam on 36. Tarukas are taking on the Capybaras, and Selknam are taking on the Cobras. So you can nearly assume that Selknam are going to get a bonus point victory in this one. Tarukas will need to beat Capybaras to keep their spot. Dogos are secured top spot. Huge result from Women's Premiership Rugby last weekend as Gloucester Hartpury went down 41-39 to the Trailfinders. Big boil over in this one. This puts the Trailfinders in the top four and has secured them their spot in the semi-finals. Other teams in the semi-finals are Saracens and Exeter. Every team seems pretty locked in with where they're going to be. There is one more round of play this weekend before the semi-finals the weekend after. This weekend also sees the return of Super Rugby W in Australia, the 4 Super Rugby squads, and the Fijian Drua. Last year's final, the Waratahs beat the Drua 50 points to 14. No, sorry, that was 2024. Last year's final, the Waratahs beat the Reds 43 points to 21. So Waratahs are heavy favourites. They'll be taking on the Fijian Drua this weekend. Meanwhile, the Reds, the other finalists, will be hosting the Brumbies. Not this weekend, but one more weekend away, we have the return of Super Rugby Opiki. Now Sevens, the Sevens Championship, had its second stop, this time in Valladolid. And the Australian women have worked out what it takes to beat New Zealand finally, as they went down to the USA in pool play and found themselves on the other side of the draw and took on New Zealand in the semi-final. The Australian women's squad winning that one 28-26 as the USA beat Canada 14-12. The final, Australia beat the USA 27 points to 14. The championship will go to Australia or New Zealand as long as they win the final round. That final is in Bordeaux this weekend. On the men's side of the draw, Australia got the double as the men beat the South Africans 26-19 in the final. Argentina beat Fiji in the 3rd-4th playoff. So with just one round left in the championship, South Africa are in the box seat, and if they make it to the final, they should take it home. 4 points behind them are Argentina. 4 points behind them, Australia. 4 points behind them, Fiji, Spain, and New Zealand. Bottom of the table, Great Britain. Bottom of the table in the women's, Great Britain. And that is us for this week. In terms of Big Mike's Big 3 games, we've got to go with the Japan League 1 Division 1 final as the Kobe Steelers take on the Kubota Spears on Sunday. The most intriguing semi-final in the URC is going to be Glasgow hosting the Bulls. In the Champions Cup a few months ago, Glasgow won this one 25 points to 21. They also got a close victory in the URC in October. Final game, a game from the first round of finals in Super Rugby. Let's go with the Chiefs and the Reds. Two teams that could be very hot or very cold depending on the day, playing in Hamilton on Saturday night. That's it for another week. Sorry it was a bit shorter, a bit different than normal. But so was my week. Holy moly! Have you ever had 4 different people in your house sick with 4 different things? Oh, and then you, a lonely, large diabetic, just trying to do everything you can. I've started drinking tea again. Anyway, I better deal with this baby. He's looking like he's pooped himself again. Go on, have a beautiful week and watch some beautiful rugby, will ya?